Hello, I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 2, Episode 11, a very special episode of Beer and Broadband. It should air on, well, we're recording it on 6/1. I think it'll come out like on the 3rd is when it comes out. So let's get right into it. The reason we're doing this is because I finally got my delivery of beer from a friend of mine in California. I actually work with the guy. You know him too, Ricky.
Yep.
His name's Dave. He does Owski Brewing. He and his brother do. And so while I was out there, he gave me some of his beer. I thought it was really good. I asked him if we could talk about it on the podcast. And then Wi-Fi 6 happened and dark mode, and I got some Surface headphones that I wanted to talk about. And the breakup of Facebook, maybe, and so
really?
Yeah, so like with all that stuff, and I got my Cleophus Quealy beers that I've been saving for this podcast. So, I'd really like to hear what you think about this Heritage Hefeweizen.
This is actually pretty good. I mean, I don't remember if we've tried any Hefeweizens before.
We have.
I don't remember what I thought about them. In my mind, when I heard it, it's like, okay, this isn't generally my style of beer, but I'm excited to try it. But this is really good. It's got a really nice aroma. It's like a little bit of floral, a lot of citrus, and it's got a similar taste. You know, I kind of really appreciate a beer with a simpler palate, like good citrus, a little bit of bitter. This is really nice, like, because it's. I thought I was going to have to walk in. It's like, oh, I'll pull punches. It's somebody I know. It's homebrew stuff. It's not from, like, a big name place. This is better than a lot of beers that we try.
That is correct. And that is one of the reasons I asked him if we could, talk about this. Because it's such a unique kind of thing. To have someone that you know that gives you a beer and you're like, I really like this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously this is not like a professionally made like bottle, so I don't have things to read off of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we had any stats on it, if we knew.
But on their website.
Oh.
So he has a website.
Look at that.
It's owskibrewing.com. It's OWSKI brewing.com. I will put that in the show notes. And it says, using apricots from the Sunnyvale orchards, we created a few variations of this Hefeweizen. All had apricots added during the boil, and then some were dry hopped with different amounts of apricots. This Hefeweizen, I don't know. My pronunciation's horrible, but it's finished with a 5.8% ABV and an IBU of 24.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's very smooth. So I took some notes the first time that I drank it, and I'm curious like to see what you think. But it's got very sweet. This was before I ever read anything on the website. It's got very sweet apricot flavors. That was what I got off of it. It seems like it's very well made, which we both have said. It's got a light and fruity smell.
Yeah.
It's very mellow and sippable, which I think
it really is. Yeah.
The hops and malts are second to the fruit flavor, which I expected to be a little bit more forward because I know how he likes his beer. Or I kind of think I know. It kind of reminds me of that fruit beer that we had, but just not as much fruit that we had.
Yeah, it's got more citrus, and I'll admit I don't drink a lot of apricot stuff. There's not much sugar left in this. There is a bit of a fruit flavor. I probably wouldn't have placed it as apricot without knowing, but it's a very citrus flavor to it. I guess it is the apricot. I was thinking, there's a lot of hops you can get that give flavors like this. So is it all the apricot? Is it a mix of apricot and the hops?
It is pretty much apricots from what I can tell from his description and me talking to him.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with this beer. It is of lighter beers. I prefer darker beers.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite lighter beers.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I'm kind of picky about lighter beers just because they have a chance to really get kind of more bitter than I like.
This one isn't so bitter.
It really isn't. Yeah. It's almost like hurting me for explanation for it because it is really good. I mean, I guess I gotta have to, he's got a website. Do they sell it?
No.
Okay.
He just I think maybe eventually they're going to get into.
I know it's a whole thing getting the license and distribution and all that stuff together. Cause I looked about doing it down here in North Carolina, and I assume California is stricter than North Carolina is. Maybe that's not the case, but you should consider it. This is really good.
So, I think what we're going to do today is instead of talking about all the beers all at once, we'll kind of let this rest on our tongues a bit, and then I want to talk about some of the technology stuff that we want to talk about. I will pour the beer while we're talking about it.
I was about to ask,
and then we'll come back to having a couple of sips.
Yeah.
So, the next thing I'm going to do, the next beer that we're going to have is the Owski Brewing Peanut Butter Porter. I believe that's what he said it was. He sent this one to me just as a bonus. It's not on their website. It was just one that they made. It didn't turn out as well as they wanted it to.
Okay.
So we're not so much reviewing this as just, this is our first time drinking it. It'll be our first impressions. But he knows I like darker beers, so we sent this along. So while I'm kind of getting that, and I don't remember if it was a peanut butter porter or if it was a peanut butter. It was supposed to be like a lager, darker beer kind of thing. And I remember he had said something to me about it, and I just kind of brushed it off. But then he said he'd get it to me. So thanks, Dave. I really appreciate it, man. It's awesome.
That's really good. You should be very proud of yourself. That's awesome.
So let's talk about Wi-Fi 6. And I got some Wi-Fi 6 APs to me, for reasons. I don't really want to go through all that, but I got some. And so one of the things that I noticed, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Have you heard about what Wi-Fi 6 is?
I have not.
So it's 802.11ax, I believe.
Okay.
It is the next standard in Wi-Fi. And what it is supposed to be is quad band radios. It's supposed to give us pretty close to gigabit speed over Wi-Fi, at least doubling what 802.11ac gets. So, AC you could get somewhere between 50 and 75 megabits a stream, and then you could go up to, maybe getting somewhere around 600 or 700 or maybe a gigabit's worth of total bandwidth. This is multi-gigabit total bandwidth, and somewhere for AC clients, maxing out the AC, what it can do to with Wi-Fi 6 devices that have the new 802.11 standard. It's supposed to really increase that throughput for them.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 450, 600. And right now, the only device that can do that is the Samsung Galaxy S10. Is it the S10? Did I say that right? Yeah, it's the S10. So the newest Galaxy S model. So basically, the thing that I was wanting to talk about, do you know about it? What do you think about it? And then I'll kind of tell you my experiences with it. So far, I've had them for 2 days, so it's not like I've had them for long.
I mean, it's always cool to see it moving on. I mean, I'll admit, I'm not as big of a Wi-Fi junkie. I kind of don't like Wi-Fi for most things. The things I put on Wi-Fi are generally things that I don't need to have high bandwidth. But I can definitely see the use of it. There's a lot of people that just don't want cables in their house, period. You want Wi-Fi almost everything. My wife is one of those people. She would not ever connect something hardwired if I didn't make her. So it is good to see those speeds going up. I'm wondering if at any point, or it could be part of this, I'm just not aware of it, a lot of tackling with reliability happens. When are we going to try and find maybe a slower solution, but that has much better penetration through walls, is more reliable? Because I think the average person doesn't want to put a whole bunch of APs in their house if they can
So this is a little bit more business focused, I think, right now. Wi-Fi 6 is rolling out to businesses, less to consumers.
Yeah, I'd imagine that.
Because Intel's rolling it out in its chipsets on its business grade.
Gotcha. Then it's a business technology. I can definitely see it. Because, if you're going to run Wi-Fi at your business, you're going to have an AP every, like, 300 feet or something like that anyway. They use cover your ceilings with them. So, it makes sense.
It is rolling out to consumers, too. I don't want to make it sound like it's not, but right now, the people that have it are more business focused.
The target audience right now is probably not consumers yet.
But, I mean, it's kind of like the beginning of these things. So one of the things that I really dig about it is it, like, just on my general devices that I have here, it has doubled the speed that I was getting, so it's pretty much maxed out what my AC devices can do. I don't have it for my primary Wi-Fi because I've got those on a different set of access points. So I've got a ton of access points because I do so much testing with these things, and I designed a whole system that had to do with like a wireless remote access kind of thing. And so because of that, like, I've had to do a lot of testing with a lot of devices. I pulled out like a couple of laptops, pulled out a Mac, pulled out a PC. They all performed about the same. So I was getting somewhere around 120 megabits of throughput on my device to external sources that can handle that. Now, internally, like, I'm getting higher speeds, but I'm still, like, pushing around files pretty fast. I went from, say, 30 seconds for a 200 megabit file to around 20. So it gave me, like, a little bit of a bump in speed moving around my network, just over wireless on a gigabit network. These aren't, like, official things, but my experience is that in the couple of days that I had it, I saw an immediately noticeable difference. Now, my devices aren't meshed. They're using OMFD, orthogonal frequency multiplexing. So I don't remember the acronym for it right now. I think I got it right to begin with. So, I'm routing and switching primarily. I've done some wireless stuff, but sometimes, or it's not multiplexing, it's multiplexing. Anyways, the idea of something, when it gets congested, it instantly moves it off to a new channel. So the APs, they automatically know whether or not they need to mesh or not, and because of the way that they're set up in my house, they don't mesh. They get their full, and therefore they get their full bandwidth, which is really nice. But they also kind of have, like, these overlapping channels, which is good too, and I can roam between the APs. It works really well. But I have, like, my personal networks APs, and then I have my, like, business and professional APs. I felt like as soon as I dropped these things in, they made a really great addition to the network, and they kind of look like a nun's habit or like a propeller for, like, a small airplane or something. So that's kind of neat. But yeah, so, like, I'm digging them, like, right now.
Okay,
I really like them. I think we should get you some. You should play with them.
Yeah,
you
why
should.
Not?
It doesn't replace wires. I'm like, anything I want reliably, like, all my servers and stuff are wired. But you can't get away from things like, oh, I'm going to move this laptop around, or my wife needs to do this. I haven't had any problems with 802.11 AC or in my house because I generally, like, have a very good wireless environment, and I really try to protect against interference. But every now and then, my wife, she will have issues. I am curious if this will solve those problems for her. And mostly it's because of where she uses it. Like, she'll go stand next to the microwave or something like that. I don't know that she'll overcome it. But these things are supposed to be more powerful in the 5 gigahertz spectrum. And the 2.4 is supposed to kind of set itself up to be a little bit better. So, we'll see. So, what'd you think about the peanut butter porter?
It wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't as good as the last one, which, I mean, we understand. This is something he didn't, put up for advertisement, a batch he wasn't happy with. It's still very smooth. It's clearly made very well. There's no off flavors, nothing like that I can taste. It just doesn't have a very pronounced peanut flavor to it. It does have a little bit of kind of like that darker, maybe like a coffee or chocolate sort of thing to it. There's like a caramely thing in there. There's a little bit of sweetness to it. But the peanut's not as pronounced as you would kind of expect it to be, I think.
See, I've had other peanut butter porters that I've kind of complained about. They didn't have this flavor or that flavor. This kind of reminds me of a Nutter Butter. You know, the Nutter Butter bars, like the candy bar things. It's like the flavor that you get as the aftertaste after you've eaten one.
Yeah. I get that. There is still like a little bit of that like peanut oily taste to it.
Yeah.
Some of that like darker sweetness at the back. So I get that. It's not like it'll have any flavor. But it's not as pronounced as his other one. Which I actually... It makes me kind of want to talk to him. I might try and hit him up sometime next week or two. Because one of the things I was thinking about making was a peanut butter meat. Like, especially if you let it stay a little bit sweet, the idea of you've got this thing that's maybe almost tastes like a honey roasted peanut. Yeah, that could be really good. But it's hard to find good information about it. I've got some reference materials that kind of go through how you should do it, but I don't. It's hard to find recipes online that people actually like. So I kind of like to pick his brain and see how did he go about it.
Oh, yeah, he would love to talk about that. He talked to me about it for pretty extensively. I was asking questions. I'm going to pour a little bit more of this one than we got last time.
Yeah,
go for it. The next one that we're going to talk about, and this will actually be kind of a review, is the Cleophus Quealy Beer Company, which is one that I went to in San Leandro, California. I actually went to their brewery. And I ordered these bottles to specifically have shipped back so that I could, or, you know, I brought them back. Let's put it that way. I have my ways. But I had them specifically, you know, got back here. And I've been holding on to them for this episode just because I want you to try it. And I love their beers. Like, you know, I like Wicked Weed around here in North Carolina. There's a couple other places in that I've been to that were like kind of breweries, and I'm like, yeah, I really like this. I like the way they do things. This is really cool. These people were top notch, and they had a food truck there that served like tacos and stuff.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. The other Dave. Oh, I'm sorry for everybody that I just blew your ears out. I realized that snap was horrible. I apologize for that, but the other Dave that sometimes like it invites me on these adventures. He brought me there. We had like a whole night, so I'm gonna kind of talk through that in a few minutes while you're sipping that. So let's talk about dark mode. Are you familiar with what's happening with dark mode stuff?
I'm not. I've spent like the last month and a half just with a sick kid constantly, so I know nothing that's happened in the world outside my house.
Ricky, man. So dark mode is basically the idea that they're making a dark theme that's like gray, dark blue, dark gray, or black for OLED and LED screens.
Okay, all right.
For everything.
I didn't know what that was called. I had heard about that.
Yeah. So, since you've heard about it, tell me what you think about this new trend in design.
So I'm going to flex on some knowledge that I'm not 100% sure on. I don't remember which one it is. One of our screen types, I think it's either LED or LCD, but the max, like the all power, is black because the cell itself is naturally white. Is that LED or is that something else?
I believe that's LCD.
LCD, okay. Yeah, because I don't like that because then that heats your house up and you're going to burn your monitor out because you're always having it at full blast. But, I mean, apart from that, if it's not going to be that sort of issue, I'm kind of in favor of it. I mean, like, it is nice. I think it's a little bit silly because, I mean, like, you can just do that yourself a lot of times. I can understand for applications that don't. It'd be cool to have that like built into the technology, but I don't know. I guess it's like almost a non-thing for me. It's like, okay, it'll look different, but you also know how I am. I don't care. I run things that just look whatever. I've built GUIs for myself that just look horrendous. Was like, look, it works. That's just what that looks like.
Form over function, or function over form. I'm sorry. We are all about the function over form. As two guys that think in that way, I thought this was kind of an interesting thing to talk about because I'm actually really in favor for dark mode, but for a completely practical reason.
Okay.
If you turn on dark mode, two things happen. One, I'm not blinded.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh my gosh, love that. And then number 2, it's supposed to help the battery life on whatever you turn it on.
If it's the default for LED is black, then yeah.
Well, so
OLED
and LED, when you turn off those devices, turn off the pixels in them, it goes to a black state.
Yeah.
However, the problem with LED is that it gets light bleed from the other light around it. OLED is like, it doesn't do that. It's only the light. It only emits in that space. And so it's much more efficient for OLED, so phones get better at battery life and things like that. But, you know, supposedly like your Mac or your PC or whatever will get better battery life. I like it because like when, and completely practical again, I like darker things. They don't hurt my eyes, you know, like stuff like that. I mean, we're in a room right now where I've pretty much blocked out all the light just to make it a little bit easier on me. So.
And I'll admit, on like a hot summer day, even in my office, I'll turn the light off.
Yeah.
Be like, the fan can run, but I don't need that extra heat.
Exactly. So I'm in favor of it. All right, let's talk about the Surface headphones before we hit. Let's ponder the Cleophus Quealy Puncheon Paradise and talk about some Surface headphones. You just tried these right before we got on here. Why don't you tell me what you thought about them?
They were pretty nice. I gotta admit, I really liked the sound canceling on them. It was almost a comedic moment where I was listening to a little bit of music. I was listening to pure vocals, which the sound was okay, but I guess we'll get to that next. But I saw you, what I thought was just muttering, like you're doing something and you're moving your mouth, you're talking to yourself. Like 30 seconds later, I heard it, because it was louder, come out of the computer. You were sound checking, and I couldn't even tell. They were that canceled. And I know you said it has some settings to change how much it cancels. So I didn't play with those. I didn't have time. But listen to that. Listen to some rock. It's got a decent sound. Yeah. It's better than I think I expect from the average set of Bluetooth headphones. But I was immediately thinking, almost any Sennheiser I've listened to is better than this. You know, even some of the cheaper ones that were wired had a much better sound. But at the same time, I really like a wireless headset. And I know that very much goes against what I normally buy. You know, I generally buy like studio, professional grade, got the weird multi-in cable thing that's supposed to hit the amps and stuff like that. But I'm always moving when I listen to music. Like, I can't sit down. The only time I ever sit down and listen to music is I listen to classical music when I'm at work. And I just get that through my work headset, you know, because that just keeps me focused. But if I'm, like, listening to music for enjoyment, I'm not sitting down. So it is kind of nice to have, like, a wireless solution there.
So, for me, I really love these headphones from the comfort aspect. They are one of the more comfortable pair of headphones that I have that aren't wired headphones. I do like the Sennheisers that we reviewed. I think they were the HDs, 5000s or whatever. No, I'm totally wrong. That model number is incorrect. But they're the wireless noise canceling Sennheisers. I like those better. I haven't played with the noise canceling devices that are the Bose yet, and I've never played with the Sony, so I can't speak to those. But the thing that I think about when I have these is they're pretty comfortable. They're kind of nice in terms of build quality. They've got that touch on the side, which I don't really love, but that seems to be where like Sony's got that. I think Bose does it now. Every single one of them does. So you know, you can tap it or long press it, and it'll do things. Excuse me, I'm a little choked up there. One of the other things I love about them, and I don't know if you notice this, but they're USB-C.
Yeah,
and I love that USB-C stuff. The more USB-C I have in my life, the better. The ear pads are really nice for extended listening sessions if my ears didn't get too hot, and the way that they're shaped, they fit really well in my ears. So that's always been a challenge for me, having a kind of odd shaped ear setting. The mic works pretty good to be able to both pick up the noise and cancel it. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a ring on the outside. One of them adjusts the noise canceling, and the other one adjusts the volume.
Ooh,
and
that's
it feels
dangerous.
It's really, really nice.
That's dangerous.
Very nice. It is not It's not the only pair of headphones that I've had that has some sort of thing like that. But this is what makes these a pair of headphones that I would say for Bluetooth noise canceling headphones, I'm probably gonna like carry these on my next flight.
Yeah.
And see what I think about that.
And I'll clarify. I was saying, oh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
I might have to acquire a set of those. Because let me tell you, not only do I always walk around when I listen to music, I don't know if it's just because I performed music for a long time or maybe I'm just like slightly OCD about it. I constantly adjust the volume.
Yeah.
And I generally adjust it in with the music to make it louder at some parts and softer at other parts. And I break every single phone I own. My current phone has just finally the volume down button. You really gotta press it. Even in the case and all that. I've worn it out over the year and a half I've had it. To be able to adjust it on the headset, it's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice.
I'm gonna look weird when I listen to it now. My hands is always gonna be in my head doing this. But
most headsets that I have a touch button on them that you can turn it up and down. I like the actuation of this.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is it has a wired connection to it. So like the Sennheiser, you can use them wired with an exterior amp. So so sometimes you can get like slightly better voice quality with it.
Yeah.
I have found that it's about equal.
About the same.
These are not the best sounding headphones that I have. I've heard people say that the Bose are better. I prefer the comfort and the sound of the Sennheisers. But these are pretty good. These don't fold, so I don't like that about them. But I also like it. They come in a really nice canvas case.
They do.
It comes with the USB-C cord and the cable that you need to be able to plug them into things, and like some instructions. And I don't know if you can see this, where it tells you what the touches do.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: am I correct that I thought I saw on it a microphone jack?
A microphone jack? This is the wired headphone connection.
Okay.
But are you talking about does it have a microphone in it?
Well, I thought I saw a microphone jack. That might have just been for the cable.
That's for the cable to be able to go out. So I mean they have a built-in microphone.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. So that you can talk through them and stuff.
Have you tried that out?
I have. It's decent. It's not the best. I feel like I have a couple of other. So the Logitech Bluetooth headphones that I have are a little bit better as far as like microphone. They have a boom microphone. However, they're not noise canceling. So
yeah, I mean, I was just thinking you're traveling. Oh, now you've got a microphone too. Easy to take meetings in your hotel room.
I do not prefer these to my wired mic for my that I normally use for D&D, the mod mic.
Yeah.
But they're still pretty darn good.
Yeah, they're nice. I might have to do that.
Might have to get those.
I might have to get those next time we got like an order open. That might go on my list.
We can talk about options.
Yeah.
They're really good, and if you travel a bit, they're excellent. And if you work in a noisy environment, they're pretty excellent.
Well, because I'm worried about the next time I travel, because the headset I have now, while I love it, is a pain to travel with because it's got like a docking station and all these extra cables. Moving it around, it's not fun.
Yeah.
So something that, even if it's not as good a quality in terms of like audio for like the microphone, it would be nice to have something more portable.
Cool. So I recommend them. I think if they're on sale right now, like $100 off at the time of this recording.
Yeah,
I don't know how long that'll last. So
we were teasing you if it's done by 6/3.
June 2019. They were done June 1st, 2019. Yep. They might not be later. But that said, even I feel like $300 is an okay price for these.
Yeah.
That's what they normally are.
Yeah, they're $350.
That $350?
$350, and they're on sale for $250.
Huh. Okay, well maybe I saw them on sale previously. I thought they were $300.
Maybe they were $50 off, now they're $100 off.
Yeah. Either way, I think Microsoft got kind of a bad rap with this just because there's some other good competitors out there.
Yeah.
At the same price point. But for some of the features on here, I kind of like it. The only criticism I have is the noise canceling. If it's turned all the way up, gives you that pressure thing, that
a little bit, yeah.
But when you turn it down, I feel like it's good, and it's noise canceling enough that I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it really is. I'm not sure, because I know I'm a stickler for headphone price. If I only had a personal use for them, I might not spend the $350. But if you've got any sort of, if you like work from home, you got any sort of business justification for it, I think it's easily worth it.
These would not be the headphones that I would buy if it was gonna be like a purely work from home sort of situation. But any travel or like going into a noisy environment where you might have to go for like a business meeting or something, and then you might have to like hop out to take a call. These are perfect for that. So let's talk about this Cleophus Quealy beer that I see that you've demolished.
Yeah, I went through. We talked for a little while. It's a nice sour. I'll say that. It's certainly not bad. I gotta say, it doesn't have much flavor to me outside of a little bit of fruit and just the sour. Okay. You know, the sour is kind of the main quality of it. You know, sometimes you get things that are like grapefruit sours and it's sour. Also a lot of grapefruit. This is mostly just a sour. It is pleasant. It's very drinkable. Gotta admit, like Dave's Heritage better. I'm going to need another pour of that. That was really good.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you have some more of that as we're finishing the podcast. I personally thought that's a different kind of beer. This is a different kind of beer. I personally thought that this was the most interesting of the beers that they had at Cleophus Quealy. It was not my favorite.
Gotcha.
But I thought it was the one that we would have the most to talk about. And this is the reason. So let me read it to you, tell you a little bit about it, and see if like maybe you have a little bit more to say at that point.
Okay.
So it's spontaneously fermented in puncheons with passion fruit, pineapple, papaya, and grains of paradise. Sour and funky with prominent tropical notes from both yeast and fruit. 6.6% ABV. You can go to cleophus.us to be able to look at it. That's Cleoph. I'm sorry. It's CLEOPH.us. Bottle conditioned ale, poured gently, and you can see right here they've got the very hipster yet very very neat.
So bottled condition makes me think that like, do they mean they actually like carved it inside the bottles?
Yep.
Oh, that is a little unique from like an actual manufacturer.
Yeah. So this is an independent brewer, and it's a craft beer.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I thought about it when I drank it was when I first took a sip of it, because they had like a ginger beer, they had a couple of other things like that. So I'll tell you what I had the last time I was there. I had this. I had the elderflower saison, whatever. The citron golden and the ginger spice. So you can tell they like to do like some funky things with tropical. This was the one that I felt like embodied the most of what they were doing, like in their kind of, this is more of an experimental sort of thing.
Yeah, it's got that kind of flavor to it. I will say I was starting to critique it when you were listing all of the tropical fruits it had in it. It's like, well, you get some tropical fruit flavor, but you don't really get individual flavors for it. Well, that makes sense if you're bottle conditioning it, because you're going completely dry. You're eating up all of those sugars as part of the carbonation. So that's completely understandable. I don't know. I kind of like the idea that they bottle condition it. That's very unique. You know, that's not something you see very often, and it's got a pretty decent amount of carbonation. You know, so they're putting it in still pretty active. I don't know if it looks like there's a lot of yeast at the bottom or anything like that. It's got good clarity. I got to give it that.
Yeah, I don't think it actually has any like yeast, like thick yeast. It's not hazy or anything.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, there's no haze to it. There's probably a little bit at the bottom, because otherwise there had to be some active yeast for it to be able to condition. But probably not a significant amount.
Yeah, I don't see like, you know, I've had some hazies and I've had, I see maybe a little bit, but I don't think that it's got a lot of yeast.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a lot. It's not like it's still doing technically bottling condition is still active fermentation, but it's not like, you know, this didn't start wet and then went all the way to dry. You know, It was mostly dry when it started. But that's pretty cool. And then 6.6%, yeah, I mean, it'll go completely dry. You know, I guess you could technically still do a sweet drink with it if you hit the alcohol tolerance level. Like, you're brewing with something that cuts off at like 13%. You put it in at 12 with enough sugar, it'll go to 14. Then you got more yeast and all that. But I guess, like I said, I appreciate it more having known that of what they were going for.
So, do you feel like this is a really like strong beer that you would try again if you had the option to it? Are you interested in Cleophus Quealy now?
Yeah, I'd be interested to try their other stuff. I wouldn't necessarily call it a strong beer. But I would definitely say I'm interested in trying their other stuff.
Well, what I meant is, like, there's a strong call to, like, go.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely tried other things. There was nothing offensive in this. It had a pleasant flavor. I'm not as harsh on it now that I kind of know what they were going for. Because I think they hit their goal.
Yeah.
You know, could it be more flavorful? Yes. Would it then be what they were going for? No. So,
from an artistic standpoint, you know, knowing that I brew, and that I brew bad beer right now. I don't brew good beer.
Well, we've only ever tried to brew one beer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we make pretty good mead. We don't make good beer. But from an artistic standpoint, I feel like of all the things that I've tried, different places, these guys are trying to do something very unique.
Mm-hmm. It's unique, and they've got a theme to it, which I kind of like. There's a lot of places that try and do this one-off. Hey, here's this thing we just did, and most of the time they're not good because it's a group of brewers that have a very particular thing they make, and now they've tried something completely different. Where they're trying, while they're doing a lot of different things, they're all in that same kind of aisle of this citrus and spice flavor or straight herb. You know, I feel like that sort of brewing takes an amount of experience to really pull it off well, because, you know, certain things, especially like ginger and things, you really got to know how much to put in. Realistically, you're probably putting it in multiple stages, and you gotta really kind of feel that out.
Yeah.
More than just an ad hoc. Hey, here's our seasonal. We did this.
Yep. So while their ginger beer it wasn't a ginger beer, it was a ginger spiced beer.
Mm.
While that was not my favorite, I really liked it. I felt like they did a really good job. So I didn't have anything that I got from there that I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But I chose to bring these back just because of, you know, the complexity of it versus like the interestingness of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think if you're ever in the area and you can go by while you're out in California, or you run across these in your local store, you should probably pick them up and try them.
Yeah,
they're
not bad.
Totally good. And if you ever see an Owski brew, you should probably
I would
pick
say
up.
Owski Brewing 2020. Let's do something there.
Yeah.
So that first beer, I'm serious. I need you to pour me some more of that.
Oh, I'm totally.
That was really good.
So if we're talking about the last, kind of like wrapping up the last bit of the day, you know, where we're looking at ending the podcast. I'm sorry, I got distracted by pouring beer, which happens with me all the daggone time. But if we're talking about ending the podcast, there's no better way to end than talking about breaking up. And we're talking about breaking up Facebook. So while we're drinking the last of the Owski, well, it's not the last of it. We're going to play D&D after this, and so after we'll drink some more during D&D. We'll have some nice D&D session. But let's talk about the breakup of Facebook. So, are you in favor of it? And well, let me explain what the breakup of Facebook means. So one of the guys who helped found Facebook, I don't remember his name. He went and has kind of started this movement. I think he went before Congress and said that Facebook is too powerful, and in light that it was used to manipulate things by other groups of people that are outside of our country, specifically the last election, that and the Cambridge Analytica scandal and things like that, Facebook should be broken up. And they're specifically talking about getting all of its acquisitions and divesting them from Facebook. Kind of like they did with Mabel, where they split Mabel up into all the different places. Of course, the Zuck is not for that.
Yeah.
He is against it. He says, you want a company like Facebook to be big and powerful, because then when they find these problems, they can actually do something against it. What do you think?
I would say that's a weak argument, that you want a company that's big and powerful because when they find a problem, they can fix it. I mean, how? Yeah. Data leaks and misuse of a product are going to happen everywhere. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like, oh, we found a massive security vulnerability and we fixed it within 8 hours because we have a giant team of software engineers. You know, that's one argument. The idea that oh, well, people won't be jerks on my product if I'm powerful enough. That's
Yeah.
not human nature. And data leaks are going to happen. I mean...
I think more what he was saying is that... so, not that I'm defending Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, actually, my opinion is that Facebook is evil. Facebook is the most evil. Google is only slightly less evil than Facebook. And that those companies need to be highly regulated. I don't know if breaking them up will necessarily fix that, because that's not really regulating what they can do and what can be done on them. I am also all for free speech, so I'm not talking about limiting what an individual can say. But I think that those platforms have to be regulated in the sense of what they can do and what they can take from you and what they can force you to watch. Because one of the problems that I see with this whole thing is that nobody's talking about, well, if someone puts information out there, you can't alter it. If someone goes out there and they're going to give false information or something like that, you can't like move it around in the stream so that, you know, some things are maximized viewing and stuff like that. You can't do that. But we're okay with that. We consider that to be okay, but that is a manipulation of the information that you get, and therefore it is a manipulation of how you view that information. Yeah. So they're doing that, and nobody's talking about it. So from that perspective, I'm kind of okay with Facebook being like regulated, or I mean, even like getting rid of Instagram and WhatsApp and Oculus. I would love if they got rid of Oculus, because I cannot stomach the thought that Facebook is eventually, and is probably already, putting information into the VR experience that is pulling out all these metrics on what you're doing, and eye tracking and retina scans and all these other things that we probably haven't even started to think about, but our AR and VR is already going to be plagued with this sort of bullcrap.
Well, I want to hit on your second point, because it's my second point as well, that breaking it up I don't think is actually going to fix the problem. You know, I don't mind them breaking them up. You know, if you think they're so big that they're a monopoly, do it. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Right. But you're right. The real problem is, what are our data regulations? Why are they allowed to have all this information? How, you know, are we going to start saying, hey, maybe we should think about how do we store data differently? For the last 5 years, we've had massive data leaks that have hurt a ton of people. Maybe there needs to be stronger regulations on that. Maybe there needs to be, you know, X, Y, and Z. And I'm not the person to necessarily come up with all those answers. You know, there's a reason we do tech committees for these things. But maybe it's time to really start talking about that stuff.
Those tech committees have to be people that are impartial and knowledgeable of the subject. They can't just be people that
ultimately
special interests.
Yeah, I know we do a lot of talks in Congress in front of things like that, but ultimately Congress is really bad at doing that. And it's not like I have anything against Congress. It's that it'd be the same thing as if, like, you made a whole bunch of doctors show up in front of Congress and start talking about, well, should we do this type of surgery or that type of surgery? Realistically, they're not experts. You have medical boards for that. There should be tech boards in charge of this that are impartial, that are making sure things are handled in a secure way.
And I think that we're going to have to start moving in that direction if we want to secure things properly. Start forcing companies to be privacy focused. I mean, for all the bad or good that Google can do, they've been really responsible with the information that we've given them. That's the best thing I can say about them. Yeah. Facebook has not at all, and that is a huge problem. I'm not saying that Google will never. I mean, there was just a story recently about how Google had kept some information in plain text, some of the passwords from like business clients, and like from like 2005, I think. So it was like 12 years ago. So they kept them in plain text for a while. They fixed the problem. They did their release and everything like that to be open about that. But it still happens. Yeah. And so regardless of what you can say good or bad about it, it still happened. Yeah. So that said, I think we both kind of agree about that. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't aware it was happening, so I'm glad to be in the know. But I think we agree on that the issue isn't necessarily how big Facebook is or how many companies it owns. It's what we're legally allowing them to do.
Yeah, and we should definitely have a change in that area. So last thing, I didn't put this in the show notes, so it's not going to be on there, but got you a new chair, man. Like, you're not sitting in the old chair. This is the first podcast we've done with that. Did it work out pretty good this time?
Yeah, it's pretty comfy. I got to admit, I find myself leaning back a lot. I'm trying to make sure I stay close enough to the camera. But it's a comfy chair. I appreciate it.
That's a microphone, not a camera.
Yeah.
Well, it does have a little thing.
Okay, David, I'm sorry. I gotta stop drinking your beer for a little bit. I didn't. Even when you pointed it out, I didn't catch it. I was like,
what? This is not a camera.
Well, it was just I hadn't realized I had said camera.
Yeah.
You just thought, oh, it's a camera. It's like, oh yeah.
There's a lock on the side of your chair.
Though. Oh, is there? Oh, I'm not gonna use it. I still like to lean back when I'm not talking. But
nice, lazy boy. Got it at one of the local thrift stores for like $25.
I know. Yeah, I heard that story.
Best
That's awesome.
buy I've had in a while. So don't forget to thrift. Thrifting. Macklemore was right about the thrifting.
Yeah.
Thrifting's awesome.
Pretty good stuff.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end this podcast. We went well over our normal 30-minute mark. This is
a special episode.
Well, it's a weird. I didn't get to go to. I've got to go do a thing at another industry show. I've got to do some presentations and stuff like that for work, so I'm not getting to go to Linux Fest. So we're not actually going to do a Linux Fest episode. We're gonna do this one, and then we're gonna have like a few weeks, and then we might start back up around August. And actually do like another 10 or 15 episodes before the holiday season starts, so that we can enjoy that. And so, and then that'll be the end of season 2. So stay tuned. Look for us to come back. We might do another special episode because while I'm off at that conference, I've got a couple things. There might be some whiskey in store. There may be a really nice concert that I'm going to go to, so I might have some experiences there. So I might come back and be like, all right, we're not going to talk about technology this thing. I'm just going to geek out on this experience that I had while I was gone. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. This has been our 11th episode of the Beer and Broadband podcast for season 2, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.